everyone who's joined us. We're going to get started at 6:03 today. So if you just wait a couple minutes, we'll kick off at 6:03. Thanks. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Just give us a few more minutes. I know I had said 6:03. We're going to wait a couple extra minutes. Tonight's meeting is going to be presented live on MBTV. Just a quick update. We're going to go live on MBTV. So if you give us a few extra minutes, we'll go ahead and get started. So a few more minutes. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a quick update. We are just holding. We're about to get started. Tonight's meeting will be live for those of you participating on Zoom, Facebook, YouTube Live, as well as MBTV. So we'll get started shortly. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin Polito, and I'm the Neighborhood Affairs Coordinator with the City of Miami Beach. So we're ready to get started now. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Today, we're going to have our virtual presentation it's going to be a community meeting to discuss the Memorial Day weekend plan. And I do want to recognize we do have a few elected officials joining us this evening, so I want to take the time and recognize them. So first, we do have Adrian Chamberlain. He's our aide to Mayor Gelber. Commissioner Minor and his aide is on. Vice Mayor Gongora's aide is on as well. Commissioner Samuelin is joining us as well. Thank you, Commissioner. And let me go ahead and look through our list here and make sure we are not missing anybody. Again, thank you to all the elected officials that are joining us this evening. So tonight's presentation, I do see Commissioner Mickey Steinberg. Thank you for joining us this evening. So before tonight, you're going to hear about our plan for Memorial Day weekend. We do have Chief Rick Clements, as well as Deputy Chief Wayne Jones, Assistant Chief Paul Acosta, Captain Campbell, and we do have, lost my list here. We have Major Dose joining us this evening. So with that, we're going to turn over to Chief Rick Clements for a few words before we go into tonight's presentation.
Good evening, and again, thank you for offering us once again the opportunity to come in and talk about our Memorial Day 2021 plan. This is our 21st Memorial Day, and I believe it's our 5th Air and Sea show that we're able to go ahead and take part in. Each and every one of the persons that you introduced at the beginning of the meeting had and will have an integral part in the operations and the component associated with the Memorial Day plan. We feel as though we've really looked at all contingencies to include those that we've done in the past that have worked out very well and have guided us through those times. And we'll continue to go ahead and to fall back on that experience as we go forward into this Memorial Day weekend as well. So we do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'd like to talk to you about. If you can cue that up for me, Kevin, I'd appreciate it.
There we go.
Okay, and again, this is all about Memorial Day, Memorial Day weekend 2021. The City of Miami Beach will once again welcome a large number of visitors this Memorial Day weekend. We've done some preliminary intelligence gathering, which indicates that this could really, for the most part, be on par with what we saw last weekend with a number of visitors here and potentially more based on what we're seeing with our vacation rentals and timeshares and things of that nature that we look into to be able to try to determine the size of the crowds. Every year, our plan continues to evolve in order to provide the safest and most enjoyable environment for our residents, the visitors, and employees. So we take what we hear from the previous year, we put it in an after-action report, and then when we're putting together the plan, and this year it was Captain Campbell and Captain Matthias who put together a plan. They draw on those experiences, and obviously they try to go ahead, personnel permitting, and really for the most part infuse those suggestions into this year's plan. And this year is no different. So we did that, and again, we feel like we're moving in a good direction as well. Next slide. Again, for the most part, this has been about for the last 5 years. It's a national salute to America's heroes. Mickey Markoff, we met with members of his team today to talk about the show and the run of show. We had everyone in there that will be responsible for, not only the flight aspects of this thing, but then also the water elements as well in and around it. We talked about as many contingencies as we could possibly throw out there. And again, it's been a very well programmed and thought out show and program. And we believe that this year will be no different. Next slide. So the Air and Sea Show. And again, we as a city, I think I can speak on behalf of the city, we are excited to host it. Again, it's a national salute to America's heroes. Hyundai is the sponsor, and will showcase our country's state-of-the-art military technology, to include dynamic sea events, interactive displays, which are located between the seawall and the berm north of 10th Street. And that's going to be available to the public, and it's free of charge between Saturday and Sunday. And again, I guess the disclaimer that they put on the bottom is, please do not be alarmed, as military aircrafts will be seen and heard overhead on Friday. What they do is they kind of get a feel for, not only the airspace associated with the venue, and they get used to what needs to be done, and again, in conjunction with their flight and their flight plans for the day. Next slide. So again, as I'd spoken to, the action zone, and if you look at it, again, you can see on the beach area, if you go closer to the water, that is an area that's an activation area right now that is fenced off, and that's specific to, not only the sponsors of the program, but then also a location where people that are participating in the operation of this will meet and stage. And if you go a little bit further to the west, you see again, I talked about it earlier, the action zones where they'll have food and beverage, military displays, all types of other displays that go along with the Air and Sea Show. And again, the public viewing area is all along the beach, both north and south of the venue as well. So the police department, and what are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing the same thing really for the most part that we've done over the last few years for these types of special events, these type of high impact events as well. The police department staffing will consist of the implementation of an Alpha Bravo staffing plan, which is all officers will be working 12-hour shifts. The Alpha Bravo will commence on Friday morning, May 28th at 6 a.m. and will last until Monday morning, May 31st until 8 a.m. Next slide. So with that, again, as we've done in years past, we always reach out to our law enforcement partners from around Miami-Dade County, and this year will be no exception. Miami-Dade Police Department will be providing us with additional officers on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and be there predominantly in the evening to early morning hours. We've also gone ahead and asked for additional law enforcement personnel from other agencies around Miami-Dade to also support us during the weekend. This will include officers from Miami-Dade School Police, Coral Gables, the City of Miami, North Bay Village, Surfside, just to name a few. Next slide. To deal with what we believe to be a very steady flow of people that are going to be coming here during the weekend for either viewing the show itself during the daytime hours or coming here at night, we will be implementing the traffic loop. Again, I said earlier about learning from what we've done in years past. This year's traffic loop will extend to 17th Street. We'll go to 5th Street to 17th Street on Collins and Washington Avenue. The evening loop will be implemented on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. During the holiday weekend, beginning at 7 p.m. and we're returning to normal traffic flow by no later than 5 a.m. each day, each of the following days. There will be no parking on Collins and Washington Avenue in order to be able to better facilitate the loop. Ocean Drive still remains under a road closure from 5th to 15th Street. It will be only open to pedestrian traffic. This will help us facilitate people coming and going from the venue itself, because when the show does end every day at roughly 4:30, between 4:30 and 5, people can basically start the migration back to either their cars or their homes. We've seen that over the last few years, and closing down or keeping Ocean Drive closed at this time seems to be the best way to facilitate that. We will have our license plate readers out on the causeways, and to be deployed on the 5th Street and 41st Street corridors. And we will have a detail out there starting at 5 p.m. each day. And this is actually going to start as early as Thursday, the 27th, and run through Monday, the 31st. And again, on Monday, May 31st, because we see it's a heavier day coming in during the earlier afternoon hours, we'll begin the LPR detail at 2 p.m. To accommodate the LPRs on the evenings of Friday and Saturday and Sunday, the MacArthur Causeway will have only one eastbound lane, and the Julia Tuttle will have 2 eastbound lanes open for travel starting at 10 p.m. So if you are out and about and you do plan on coming back, obviously we're giving you the times associated with these lane reductions in order to be able to facilitate the license plate readers. Again, why do we do this? It keeps our officers safe, it slows traffic down accordingly, and it gives us the opportunity at that time, from an enforcement perspective, to go ahead and to address those vehicles that have been identified potentially in a criminal situation. Next slide. And this is really, for the most part, what you'll see from the traffic loop. And you can see that from the north end of it, it goes all the way up to 16th Street. On the east side of that is Washington Avenue. If you follow the blue line going up, that's Collins, and Collins will be one way going all the way up to 17th Street. Now, along the finger streets, we prevent east and westbound traffic. And again, we go all the way up. And you can follow the arrow going all the way up to 17th Street to where it turns red, and then it comes back down the Washington Avenue corridor. Actually, it can continue to go westbound on 17th Street or south on Washington Avenue, and we will have 2 lanes of traffic open to be able to do that, and we'll take you all the way down to 5th Street. So along the Washington Avenue corridor, you'll notice that the green line that's there, traffic will be restricted going into the residential zone to keep the area residents really, for the most part, and the spaces, because they're very valuable parking spaces that are there, free from having too much congestion, too much traffic coming in there, and even taking away more valuable spaces for residential parking. The zone itself extends from Washington Avenue all the way west over towards Alton Road, and then north on Alton Road, once again to 16th Street, with a minor turn in at 15th Street, and to be able to alleviate traffic moving up to the 6th Street area. Again, next slide. Residential zone, as I talked about, it's the green zone. The residential zones from the Flamingo Park and south of 5th Street neighborhoods will be in place each evening from 7 p.m. through 4:30 a.m. And this will be starting on Thursday, May 27th, and run all the way through Monday, May 31st. Residents are encouraged to avoid the visitor checkpoints by taking any of the other residential streets to either enter or exit their neighborhood. We would also ask, again, respectfully, that you keep a valid ID or something at all that indicates where you live inside of that green zone. It does help us. Again, we're trying to keep the avenues free from, either gridlock or too much congestion, or for that matter, again, the loss of parking spaces. All other motorists will be able to access the residential zone via checkpoints that will be operated by police and or security guards. So each particular street, whether it's going down the Washington Avenue corridor or the Alton Road corridor, there'll be security guards there manning it. And again, they'll basically be asking you for some form of ID, or for that matter, an address of where that you're going. Visitors, delivery persons, and or ride booking services like Uber or Lyft should use these entrances, and these entrances will also be indicated in the plan. Next slide.
Great. So I'll go ahead and take it from here. Thank you, Chief. This year, and as we've done in previous years, we like to have parking shuttles that could transport either you or your family or friends that are coming. If you're coming to Miami Beach, please don't circle the block this Memorial Day weekend. We are going to have trolley with pickup and drop off locations at the 11th Street garage, and it's going to take you to either 400 West 42nd Street, 23rd Street, 17th Street, so they can take you to a number of garages. On this slide, you'll see we do have a map. This is available on memorialdaymb.com. These are going to be specially marked trolleys and freebies, and they're going to go from the 6 designated event parking garages that you saw on the previous slide So just look for those special event parking shuttles before you board, and it will take you right to where you need to go. So again, please don't circle the block. Please, if you have any friends coming to visit and they're looking for a parking space, send them the information. This is online at memorialdaymb.com. Also this year, as we've done in previous years, there's going to be a kids fun zone. So the city of Miami Beach is hosting a kids fun zone. It's going to be located on Loomis Park between 12th and 13th Street on Saturday, May 29th, Sunday, May 30th. And within that fun zone, children with their parents can participate. We have arts and crafts, we have relay races, dance-a-thons, and there's a great opportunity where you can write a letter to our servicemen and women. It is Memorial Day weekend. You are going to see a lot of military equipment out there. So it'd be great if you could write a letter to those who are serving. And there's also going to be a wristband ID program, which is known as KIDS. And that program is going to add another level of security. If you volunteer, you could get an ID wristband to all children's and or adults with special needs. And that's going to be in operation on Saturday, May 29th, Sunday, May 30th, again from 9 to 4. And you could find those at 8th, 10th, and 12th Street. So that's great. We're going to have a lot of people coming down this weekend. So it's a great program designed for your young ones. So now we have questions and comments. And before we jump there, we do have this list of important numbers. I recommend you screenshot this if you have any friends, again, coming into town, or this is always great to have if you want to put it on your fridge. Of course, for emergencies, please 911. You have your non-emergency number, which is 305-673-7900. For Miami Beach information, you could always call 305-604-CITY. And then you have a few other numbers there that you may or may not need during the weekend. The best tool, if you are looking for all that's taking place this weekend, is visit memorialdaymb.com. There's going to be a recording of this meeting. If your neighbors may have missed it or some of your friends, you could send them this meeting so they could view it once again. And then one thing for Memorial Day, not for Memorial Day, it's a great asset to have. If you text MB traffic, you take out your phone, you text MB traffic in the body of the message to 888-777. Those are real-time traffic information. It's something we use a lot. If there's accidents coming to, from, or on Miami Beach, we try to send those out via the MB traffic. So of course, before any high impact weekend, we want you to enroll for those so you can stay connected with the city. So now what we'll do is we're going to open it up for questions or comments that you all may have. What you need to do is you're going to click the raise your hand feature on Zoom. If you're participating in an iPad, iPhone, or mobile device, there's 3 little dots. You're going to click more. And then when that menu appears, you'll see the raise your hand feature. If you're calling in tonight on this, please click *9. So again, *9 if you're calling in. And then you're going to click raise your hand if you're using the Zoom tool. We asked for questions and comments tonight. If you could please try to keep your comments or questions within 2 minutes. And really, if we could stay on topic tonight for Memorial Day. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of callers joining, so thank you. We're only going to be able to take one person at a time and one question per person. So let me check. So right now we don't have anybody with their hands up. So again, if you click raise your hand, if you want to ask a question, if you have any comments, please just click raise your hand. And if you're on a phone, again, click *9. I'm going to go to our first caller. If you could state your full name. All right, the username is R Cementi, I believe.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know I was on.
Hi there. Maybe you could just say your full name.
Richard Cementilli.
Hi there, Mr. Cementelli.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Okay, just one question. Can you tell us the number of police officers that will be on the ground for any hour of the day per se for those 4 days?
Thank you, and we'll turn that over to Chief Clements. Chief?
Yeah, we again, every officer that we have available working for us on that, whether they be Miami Beach officers or Miami-Dade officers, is in the plan. So I do have Captain Campbell on the call itself, and Captain Campbell can give you an idea on a day-to-day basis, hour by hour. Remember, we're working 12-hour shifts, so there are overlaps. And I would say that, that we're looking at probably a 60-40 configuration as to, the number of people that we have working at night versus day. So Captain Campbell, if you could give us a number, just an overall number daily, I think that may help with the caller's question.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. So on Thursday, we have approximately 260 officers from Miami Beach that will be working. On Friday, Miami Beach officers, in addition to other officers from other municipalities, there'll be a total of approximately 560. On Saturday, approximately 590. On Sunday, 560, and on Monday, 260.
Excellent. Thank you, Captain Campbell and Chief Clements. We're going to go to our next caller, Joseph Magazine.
Hey, Chief, how are you? In advance of this weekend, the last several years have been recognized, been extremely challenging operating environment for police across the country in general. This is a notoriously difficult weekend in an extraordinarily difficult year for everybody, the community, and especially first responders. I just wanted to take a few seconds to truly thank the police department, but also truly offer our community support. We are fully behind you. There's been some outside groups that have, made some nefarious claims about what the patrolling this weekend represents. I was glad to see the department, several members of the department push back against that. The one thing that I just will mention from a logistical standpoint is with some of the neighborhood perimeters being set up, West Avenue has become more of a thoroughfare, and there's also kind of drinking establishments that continue to grow in the area. I know resources are scarce and spread all over this weekend. If you could just keep that in mind, as it is a very dense residential area and it's going to be a very busy thoroughfare. If it could be thought that there could just be some resources that monitor that, would be greatly appreciated. But more than anything, just want to really offer the community support between you and the entire force. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Magazine. So I'll turn that over to Chief Clements. Thanks for those comments.
Mr. Magazine, thank you very much for your continued support. And again, that's one of the things that we've learned from last year. Actually, Gail Durham had sent us an email earlier about asking us for increased presence on West Avenue, and we were able to go ahead and do that with the additional personnel that we have. So again, that's something that we learned, over the last few years.
Thank you, Chief. Next caller is Richard. If you could state your full name. Hi, their username is Richard.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can.
All right. No, I was just wondering if the route for a resident coming from the Causeway to the Flamingo residential area, what's the best route? Can you still go on the flyover North Alton and then just turn right? Is that all that open, or would that be restricted?
Once again, I'm going to refer that to Captain Campbell, because I know that he was integral in part in setting up the actual entry points or key access points. So Captain Campbell, if you could give us some insight on that.
Okay, yes. So as far as the residents will be able to access any street that they want. Officers and the security guards have been advised, okay, that if a resident show an ID or any form, a utility bill, placard, or what have you, the officer is to allow them to go through. Okay, so the MacArthur, like previously mentioned, will be affected by the loop and the LPR detail. So residents and everyone will be directed to go eastbound on the MacArthur to 5th Street. And then once you get to Lenox Avenue, then you can turn left if you want to. And as a resident, like I said, any one of those intersections you will be able to access. I don't know if that answers everything that you wanted to know, but just rest assured, if you're a resident, you will be able to get home no matter what route you take. Our officers and the security guards have already been advised to make this as painless as possible for our residents.
Thank you, Captain. And again, on memorialdaymb.com, there is a tab so you can see the traffic loop. And if you click on the image, you're able to see that. And I see we do have a few buildings on. So if you want to share that with your residents. Next is Henry Delegato. Hi there, Henry. Send a request to unmute. So Henry, it shows that you're muted. So Henry, I'm going to come back to you. It's not unmuting at this time. We're going to go to Cece Velasco.
Hi. Hey, so Cece Velasco, Executive Director of the Ocean Drive Association. It's we're here and been working hand in hand with the police department. Very grateful for all of the work that you're doing. I have a question though that's been posed to me by some of the businesses, which is Chief, Ocean's Court is going to be closed. They just have some questions about deliveries, right? How are they going to be able to get deliveries? Is Ocean's Court going to be closed to delivery vehicles? Is there a time frame that they can tell their deliveries that they can come in? That's just, there's 35 hotels on Ocean Drive and, maybe 40 restaurants. And, as much as we are going to be as cooperative as possible, they're also trying to function. So that's the question.
Yes, Cece, I think again, the implementation of the loop starts every night. It's consistent with the way that it starts. I believe it's at 7 p.m. when we get in there. So what I would probably and strongly recommend that the restaurants or the businesses do is try to set up a time, prior to that. Now, if there are logistical issues associated with that delivery, we're obviously going to work with them as best we can. We just want to try to keep those instances down to a smaller number if we could.
Thanks. Thank you, Chief. So now we'll go to Kevin D'Antonio. Apologize if I mispronounced that. Hi, Kevin. If you could say your full name.
Kevin D'Antonio.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm just I've been working down here on the beach for the last 8 years, so I've had a lot of experience over those years. The question is, what are we guiding our team members? Those who take care of all this influx of human beings. Where do we guide them for parking? Have we ever considered utilizing, this year, especially with the cruise industry being shut down, have we considered utilizing that cruise parking area for staff parking and then creating a shuttle service that can take them to and from with the tunnel? That way they can get in and out of Miami Beach to a critical success, because, they also have to come here, and that's an influx of them already who may be coming from other areas to work on the beach to service all this extra influx of human beings. So, my question would be, where are we guiding all of our staff members to park, since they're usually finding street parking or in those parking garages?
Great, thank you, Kevin. So let me try to pull up the slide here, but we do have the transportation parking shuttle option. And what that is doing, it is providing a shuttle to and from, let me pull that up here. There we go. So we do have trolleys, and they're going to be picking up and dropping off passengers from the 11th Street area for these parking garages that are listed on the right. So this could be an alternative for those maybe who work in that area, and if they don't want to, circle the block that area, they know it's a high impact time right now. So we're going to have a few extra people coming onto the beach. So you could always park at any of these garages. You could jump on the shuttle. It'll take you to and from your car. So this could be a great alternative for those. So thank you for your question. Again, this is all on memorialdaymb.com. So if you want to download that and maybe share with some of your staff, I please encourage you to do so. We'll turn over to Valerie. Hi, Valerie, can you hear us?
Hi, sorry. Thank you, Valerie Navarrete, Vice Chair of the Police Committee. Thank you, everyone, for all the hard work that everyone is putting into this, the city, and especially the police department. I have a quick question in regards to the license plate readers. I see that it's going to be only one lane at the MacArthur, and I do understand that we have to enclose the lanes because FDOT does not allow us to put the license plate readers across the causeway. So we have to enclose at least one lane, the middle lane, to have the police cars with the physical devices to read the plates. So I was wondering why not having 2 lanes open instead of just 1? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Navarrete. We'll turn that over to Chief Clements.
The advent of having 2 lanes open, really for the most part, it does create an issue for our officers from a safety perspective. Putting it down and narrowing it down to 1 lane slows the traffic down enough to where if there is a vehicle that's identified as a problem for us and from a criminal aspects, it's easier to be able to draw them out of traffic as opposed to 2. 2 lanes are going through much quicker and really does at that point in time subject our officers to more of an unsafe environment. So that's generally what's been suggested. It's worked very well in the past. And for the most part, we wait as long as we can to facilitate that so that our residents can get home and get there before we start implementing the loop. Now, remember, this starts at 10 o'clock, and there's a lot of moving parts associated with it. So it actually will be a little bit later than the 10 o'clock timeframe that we talked about earlier in the slide. So.
Thank you, Chief. So we'll go to our next caller. Username is Crystal. If you could state your full name.
Hi, Crystal Hobart. Thank you so much. And this has been very informative. You may have addressed this earlier because we might have missed it, but with regard to the noise, management of the noise, what is going to be done in terms of, you've had signs previously that say, loud music is arrestable. How are you going to be managing the loud music from the cars?
Thank you, Crystal. So we'll turn that over to Chief Clements.
Once again, I'm going to defer that to Captain Campbell because he's going to talk about the deployment of the officers along the corridors, include Collins and Washington as well. But part of what we're also going to be able to do is deploy a traffic task force, if you will, that's going to be dealing specifically with that. So Captain Campbell, could you kind of talk a little bit about that for us, please?
Yes, sir. So we're going to have officers deployed all over the city, particularly in the ADCD area and the residential areas. Okay, our officers have been well informed that loud noise coming from vehicles in particular continues to be a nuisance, and we expect our officers to address it swiftly as soon as they observe or hear any loud music coming from these vehicles. So we have a set of officers that are assigned to Washington Avenue, Collins Avenue, and Ocean Drive. We have far more officers assigned to the residential areas than we would normally have. And we have officers that are specifically going to be tasked with conducting traffic stops. We have motor officers that are going to be running a detail. And so, yes, we do. Loud music is an arrestable offense from a county ordinance. Our officers obviously will use discretion depending on the particulars of the traffic stop. But you all have our assurance that we're going to try to provide you all a safe and peaceful neighborhood or experience through this weekend as much as we practically and possibly can.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Campbell. Now we're going to go to our next caller, the Capri South Beach.
Hi, thank you all for your service in planning and preparation. My question is related towards employees that work for the condominiums on Miami Beach that are going to be affected. I know that you said residents are not going to have any issues. What kind of documentation are you going to need for employees to be able to access the condominiums they work for?
Thank you. So we'll turn that over. Chief Clements or Captain Campbell.
Traditionally, in the past, what we've done is just any kind of ID card that they have that shows that they're affiliated with that particular condo will work. I think that's also incorporated into the plan again. And Captain Campbell, if you could reiterate that.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yes, again, any resident, any employee who has any type of ID to go into a certain area, they will be granted access to that area. No doubt about it. Okay. Again, discretion is real huge what we talk to our officers about. Okay. And if a person is telling them that they're going to a certain condominium, apartment, and, our officers use discretion to decide if, they can let the person in or not. So you have our assurance again that we will try to mitigate the effect as much as possible, the inconvenience on the employees and the residents, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, anybody who legitimately has a reason to be going in our residential hours, our residential areas during those hours, that we have our traffic mitigation plans in place.
Thank you. And I do want to recognize and advise that their parking rate at the AD garages will be a $20 flat rate with no in and out, but that's going to be in effect at our AD garages such as 7th, 12th, 13th, and the Anchor garage at 16th. Those residents that have pre-registered, they will get the resident rate. So if you have not registered for the resident rate, please visit miamibeachfl.gov so you could pre-register. Christine Rose is our next caller. Christine?
Hi, yes. I am going back to the noise ordinance violations, and I'm wondering specifically something that happened to me spring break. I live at 10th and Pennsylvania, and there was a car below me, filled. You all know the scenario. And I called the police, and they came about 2 hours later and told them to move along, but nothing else. And so the people did move along, and exactly a half an hour later, we're back, and I heard, them talking about how they just moved from site to site, but the police were moving them along, but not citing them or finding them or keeping track of who they were. So, is there a better system in place for the enforceability part?
Thank you, Ms. Rose. So I will turn that over to Chief Clements and Captain Campbell to maybe go.
The past weekends and the weekends that we've experienced with enhanced staffing, and really what we try to do is when we have those enhanced staffing components, it's not a full Alpha Bravo configuration where everyone's working, right? So we're trying to keep our units really, for the most part, in service to be able to handle the more challenging of events that are out there. With the Alpha Bravo configuration and everybody working, it gives us greater flexibility to address this. Moreover, you also have the green zone that's established. So we're hoping that those instances are really, for the most part, fewer and fewer by restricting people that aren't or have for the most part, no reason to be in the area, and keep them in the loop. So again, we're going to try to avoid those types of situations for Ms. Rose. And again, we apologize that she had to go through that, but we're going to do our best to try to mitigate that in the future moving forward.
Thank you, Chief Clements. And friendly reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please click *9 if you're calling from a mobile device, or click the raise your hand feature on Zoom. If you're participating via smartphone or iPad, you can just click more, and then you can find that raise your hand feature there. So we're going to go to, I believe this is Johanna. You can say your full name.
Hi, yes, I'm Joanna Maceda.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you? So my question to you guys is, I have an apartment on 465 Ocean Drive. So it's smack in the middle of everything. I just want to know how much beach patrols are going to be at the beach. I was there 2 weekends ago. I saw maybe one beach patrol pass by in the whole day. I was with my kids. I had to deal with marijuana. I had to deal with people twerking. I had to deal with loud music. Not one beach patrol. Well, I said, no, one beach patrol passed in the 8 hours that I was there. So are we going to have a lot of beach patrol this weekend? Are these rules going to be enforced? Are they going to, if there's music loud on the beach, are they going to tell people, lower down the music? Are they going to get fined? If there's marijuana in the beach, are they going to cite these people, find them? I don't know. I mean, this is just like a party. It's, and I will be going with my kids this weekend. And I don't want to see my kids. My kids don't need to see that. So that concerns me.
Thank you, Joanna. So we'll turn that over to Chief Clements to address.
Yes, Mr. Facade, I can obviously hear the frustration in your voice, and I can tell you that we have 7 miles of beachfront that we have to patrol, and again, it is difficult for us to really be in all places at all times. That said, there is going to be a significant presence out there on ATVs, not only north of 5th Street, but also south of 5th Street as well. Captain Campbell has the exact number of ATVs that are out there and will be deployed during the daytime activation. And now there'll be more out there, obviously, because there'll be more people that are there. As far as the noise, you know, the radios and things of that nature, you know, again, if it's reported to us, it can be reported to us anonymously, and we'll go ahead and we'll take care of it. As for some of the other things that we're talking about, you know, there are some things that are within our control and some of the things that aren't within our control that obviously don't rise to the level of a criminal violation. But Captain Campbell can talk about the ATV deployment as well.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, so this weekend, we're going to have a total of 6 ATVs out there on the beach that are working from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. And then, I'm sorry, until 9 p.m. And then we're also going to have another deployment of 6 ATVs that will be working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So at any given time, there are at least 6 ATVs out there on the beach. And for another overlap period, there are going to be a total of 12 out there on the beach, which is substantially more than what you would normally see, which give us an opportunity to address some of the offenses that the caller just talked about. So again, you have our assurance that we're going to try to address every issue that we can, no matter how minor, to make this weekend as painless as possible, while at the same time making sure that people are able to vacation and enjoy themselves responsibly.
Thank you, Captain. So our next caller is Cindy Escobar.
Yes. Hi, thank you. And I agree with the other caller. Thank you guys for the hard work that you're going to be doing this weekend in advance. I have a couple questions, Kevin, because it's some other people that had texted me, if that's okay. I joined the call late, so I had emailed transportation the concern of for the south of Fifth area where Alton Road and Washington, I know in the past we've had 1 lane. My concern is it possible to have it 2 lane? Here's the concern I have because of what I've experienced is when you are trying to say, for example, go to Publix at 6, and then you're on the other side of 5th Street trying to get back when it's 1 lane, for example, on Alton, in front of the Icon, what happens is the traffic backs up from the causeway and then it backs up from 5th Street and then they overhang. And so what happens is if you try to go home south of 5th on Alton, you end up taking a left on 5th. And that's my next question is, can we make sure that they're going to let locals in? Because what happened to me 3 different times was I would go to, say, for example, Michigan, Meridian, all the streets along to Washington, and they'd say, go to Washington, go to Washington, go to Washington. You can't be let in here. And I'd say, look, please see my driver's license. And they refused to let me in. And then when I get to Washington, I get stuck in the overhang. It took me an hour and a half to get home. And I just feel that if perhaps we do 2 lanes instead, maybe trying it just for 1 night to see what happens, because the backlog northbound to southbound was tremendous. And I wasn't sure of the start time, if that's going to be at 7 p.m. or 10 p.m., if we could have clarification. And then the last question that we had was, how is residential parking going to be enforced? With the fact that you mentioned earlier that there's going to be a $20 flat fee in a lot of the garages, that's going to drive a lot of people to residential parking. Thank you so much for allowing me to ask multiple questions.
Thank you, Cindy. So before I turn it over to Chief Clements, the $20 flat fee, that is in the ADCD garages, the ones, as I mentioned earlier, on 7th, 12th, 16th Anchor Garage. The other garages are open. And again, we're encouraging, if you're coming to the beach, please park in those other garages that I showed earlier. The full list is on memorialdaymb.com. And there you could catch the trolley and be kind of driven over to the site. And that's probably your best alternative. So now I'll turn it over to Chief Clements and Captain Campbell for questions about the traffic loop and how residents could enter, maybe not at those main entrance points.
Okay, Ms. Escobar, real quick, the traffic loop for the most part is going to be everything north of 5th Street. And so again, what's going to be impacted south of 5th Street will be access points to the SOFNA area. And by that is, there's no plans that I'm aware of, and Captain Campbell will come behind me, where we're restricting southbound traffic coming off of 5th Street onto Alton Road. We do have, again, lane reconfigurations on Washington and Collins that talk about directional components, Collins being northbound and Washington being 2 lanes southbound. So I think that should go ahead and should take care of that concern for you as far as the Washington Avenue directional issue. As for getting in and out of the area, again, we have a supervisor that's going to be assigned to the green zones to include both the Flamingo area and to the Sofna area, that will go around and will meet with all the security personnel to, again, reaffirm that we're not going to go ahead and give people a hard time about coming in there, especially when they indicate that they're residents and they can provide either ID or an address of where it is that they're going. So again, Captain Campbell, you can go ahead and elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, Chief, you covered everything mostly. I'll just say, as far as the 1 lane versus 2 lanes, I've been assured by our traffic operations commander that we only merge Alton Road into 1 lane between 4th and 5th Street, just so that the officers that are assigned there have a easier time to check IDs and restrict access to residents and authorize people only. And those who are not will be directed to go eastbound on 4th Street and Alton. But the rest of Alton Road is still going to be remaining 2 lanes.
Thank you, Captain. And if you could maybe remind us, what time does it start?
Yes, so it's anticipated to start at 7 o'clock and run till 4:30 in the morning.
Okay, great. And then and to your last question, there will be increased staffing, and there are those green zones. So Cindy, back to your point, that should also help deter anybody from entering the neighborhood and parking. And if they do, our parking team has assured us that they will have increased staffing within that area. So now I'll jump to Mr. Wayne Roberts.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I got to say that the chief has the toughest job in America this weekend. It's harder than the president of the United States, and I appreciate the amount of lack of sleep he's going to get or has gotten. So I'm happy to hear that the residents will have, in prior years, it was very difficult for residents to access those side streets. I just wanted some more clarity. I really didn't get it, what the access points are for residents, so that we can bypass traffic. So that's my main question. If you could just reiterate exactly how that, and what times would be the worst times to travel? So if you can give us some insight as to, like, if my sister's, for example's birthday this weekend in Plantation, so I may sleep over there actually, but I may stay here and then exit. And, I just live south of 5th. And so what hours would be the worst time to come back or leave or something like that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. I'll turn that over to Chief Clements and Captain Campbell.
Mr. Roberts, thank you once again for, you're always so supportive of the police department and the job that we do out there every day. In response to your question, really, for the most part, again, as Captain Campbell alluded to earlier, the access points will be checkpoints, and the people that are manning them, whether it is security guard or police officer, will be instructed to go ahead and just, again, ask people if they're a resident or not. If they're not a resident, they'll turn them around. If they are a resident, they'll let them through. So again, I think it's really, for the most part, any of those locations will be access points. As far as the travel times, I can tell you it'll really be restrictive after 10 o'clock when we start going down, especially eastbound on the MacArthur. We narrow down to 1 lane, and then on the Julia Tuttle, you'll have 2 lanes. So again, I think that your worst time to travel into the city will be when we start to go ahead and implement the OPR detail. Getting out of the city will probably be a little bit easier because all lanes of traffic will be open up on 5th Street going westbound. So again, Captain Campbell can go ahead and obviously elaborate on that as well.
Yes, so like the chief said and I previously said, our residents can get access to their desired destination on any street. They will be granted access to. So like the chief said, the LPR and the traffic loop is going to affect traffic. It's just inevitable that's how it's going to be because of the lane closures and the slowing down of traffic. So if you want to say the worst times, it's probably going to be between 7 p.m. till 5 in the morning, given when you look at the schedule for the green zone / LPR detail / traffic loop. Also, residents can be encouraged to take the Venetian Causeway to come into the city instead, in lieu of taking the MacArthur or the Julia Tuttle. But rest assured, whatever you decide to take, we're going to do the best that we can to accommodate you. I believe someone mentioned the Alton Road flyover before, and you have access to that as well. So we're doing the best that we can to make it convenient as possible for our residents, while at the same time ensuring that our city is as safe as possible and not get overwhelmed by the amount of people that you already know is going to come to the city throughout their weekend.
Thank you, Captain. And again, if you want to ask a question, we do have a few callers left that have not spoken. So please click raise your hand so we can see how many callers we have left. And that way you have the opportunity to talk with us. So Bob Ryan, you just state your full name if that's correct.
Yes, this is actually Brian O'Brien. I live at the Yacht Club of Portofino down on First Street, and my general question, I guess it's more of an observation. My son-in-law is a commander with the Maryland State Police. He's in special operations. He was in the White House on January 6th, and he's out of the Rockville Barracks in Baltimore County. He was with us last weekend, and last week. Obviously, the conditions in Miami Beach have deteriorated substantially over the past year, and it's gotten worse and worse. And he described to me a scenario that every police officer out of the police academy is trained in, and it's called the broken window scenario. And you probably know what that is. But as we walk up Washington, we see people urinating in the middle of the day in doorways. There was also people drunken in the street. We saw one fist fight this weekend. It's not even Memorial Day. And fortunately, we are able to leave the area now because we have friends, and everybody said, get out of there for Memorial Day. I'm wondering at what point do we actually start to enforce everything that's little, so that we don't enter into this scenario where you have the broken window scenario and it's deteriorated to where it is right now, that we can't even walk up the streets with our grandchildren in the middle of the day. And it's not even Memorial Day, and we're talking about noise ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien, and thank you for your son's service. I'm going to turn that over to Chief Clements.
Again, ditto. I appreciate his son's service, and really for the most part, we've been hearing a lot about the broken windows theory lately, and really there's some questions as to whether or not broken windows applies here, because again, when you look at the concept of broken windows, it really applies to a neighborhood and people that live in the neighborhood that are also a part of the problem. And as you may know, that we deal with different sets of people who come in here every weekend from different parts of the country. And so the challenges are consistent and persistent for this police department. Just to give you an idea, again, when we pull an officer off the street for a simple code violation, or for would be considered to be a quality of life arrest, that officer could probably look at spending anywhere from a half hour to an hour doing the administrative side, which they're required to do. And that may also include vouchering, property and arrest evidence and things of that nature. All that said, I can tell you right now that there is a move, obviously on our part, to do more. That's increasing the beat officers that are out there, trying to free up officers and give ourselves a little bit more flexibility to be able to deal with these things. But I can assure you that this police department has done a lot over the last 4 or 5 months specifically to deal with these quality of life issues. It's just, again, it's coming at us at a very quick pace, and it's going to take some time in order to be able to correct it. But they're committed to doing it. They're doing a good job. And more importantly, they're going to continue to do it in the future.
Thank you, Chief. So we're going to go to our next screen name is Diana.
Hey, Kevin, it's Diana Oman, and I kudos to all of the city people. You guys are just amazing. And I'm not just talking here about the people who organize all this stuff, you and everybody, and the commissioners and everybody who's up there, but also the police. And let's not forget the fire guys. I mean, those guys are the rescue guys, and they're out there in those towers all along the beach. I talked to several this week who are on duty, double overtime or whatever, to be sure nobody gets stupid about the ocean. And then There's the sanitation guys. Thank God for them. I'm telling you, people do not look after themselves. It's so unfortunate that we don't realize what debris and what ugly stuff gets into our ocean and our canal because we don't throw it away. And so I'm just thankful for all of you, the high up people and the administrative people and the police and the fire guys and the rescue guys and the guys out there in the towers and the sanitation guys, because we are not doing this weekend without all of them at mega capacity. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Diana, as always. It is a team effort. You have nearly the full administration is on this call. Marshall Montserrat from the city manager's office is joining us this evening. You have his ACM, Eric Carpenter, is on the call, who oversees sanitation, like you mentioned. Our sanitation directors are on the call. In addition to the Alpha Bravo that you're going to see from police, you are going to have a lot of city services this weekend that are going to be working a lot of hours this weekend to ensure our best foot is forward. We're going to have a lot of visitors coming to town this weekend. So we want to make sure our city's as best as it can be. So thank you for those comments. And now I'll turn it over. This is our final caller. And every time I say that, people realize their hand hasn't been up. So please raise your hand if you want to speak. If you have any questions, you have not spoken yet. We're going to go to Cindy Pitroff. Sorry for the pronunciation. Cindy.
Hi, this is Cindy Pitroff. I just have a quick question on the weekend. South Point Park, the parking lot, is that going to be open in the morning, like between 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning?
Thank you. So we're going to confirm right now. Let's see if we have. Yes, the parking lot will be open per our parking department team. Thank you, Monica. So with that, we don't have any last callers. Want to see if anyone wants to raise their hand. If not, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Clements for some final thoughts.
Once again, I love the questions. It shows an engagement that from a police department's perspective, we want to have with the community. I've heard your concerns. Captain Campbell, Major Dose, Deputy Chief Jones, Assistant Chief Acosta are there during our roll calls every day. We will make sure that our officers understand what these concerns are and that we're more in tune with doing our best to be able to, obviously, to mitigate them and do the best we can to make this weekend as uneventful as we can do. Now, we're hoping that we go back to 2019 where we started to see a change in the dynamics of the weekend. And by that, I mean people came out here to really enjoy the show. And we're kind of hoping to build on that and make Memorial Day, again, something that everyone can be proud of, to include this police department.
Thank you, Chief Clements. So with that, again, if you visit memorialdaymb.com, there will be a recording of this meeting available. And you can view that recording again on memorialdaymb.com. So thank you all for participating this evening. Have a safe weekend.
Thank you, Kevin. You did a great job.
Thank you, Chief.